Hello, everyone. We warmly welcome you all to our special program brought to you by Indian Achievers Forum. I'm your host, Vatika Singh. Indian Achievers Award is an honor that celebrates the people who went extraordinary to effectuate their aspirations and ideas. In this series, we emphasize not only on the struggles and achievements of the people, but also on the social contributions they made to their native land, India. Before introducing you all to our one such achiever, let's take a look at the small lady.
Indian Achievers Forum is driven by a full-fledged advisory board. The board consists of experienced personalities who have excelled in their respective careers. Together, the forum organizes conferences, events, workshops, exhibitions, trade shows, and B2B initiatives in India as well as abroad. Where there is passion, there is achievement. And where there is achievement, there is Indian Achievers Forum.
Today we have with us Dr. Archana Narula, who's a gynecologist with an experience of 22 years. She has donned multiple hats as a clinician, administrator, expert in women and reproductive health, and a pioneer in telehealth. Her goal is health awareness to the masses. Her patient education and information videos are very popular, with a few of them having views close to 10 million. At present, she is the COO of Vivio Health India with an aim to provide access to healthcare to 1 billion people by 2025. Vivio Health has been selected for Mastercard Lighthouse massive program, which is going to help Vivio Health achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Hello, ma'am. How are you?
Hi, Vatika.
Before entering into the questions, tell us something about yourself and your professional role.
Thanks, Vatika, for having me in this interview, and I'm obliged to be a part of this Achievers Award. I'm Dr. Archana Nirula. I'm a gynecologist. I'm based out of Delhi, and my journey started. First of all, I did my graduation from Dr. MGR Medical University, Chennai, and after that, I did my graduation, post graduation in reproductive and child health from All India Institute of Medical Sciences. At present, I am the COO of Vivio Health India, which is an Estonian based company, and it's trying to bring access to healthcare to 1 billion people by the year 2025.
Right, ma'am. Being a doctor and a gynecologist, why did you not take up the normal course of career as a clinician?
Yeah, I can see actually once you graduate out of medical school and you are gynecologist, what are you expected to do? You're expected to have your own flourishing clinical practice and to earn a lot of money as well as to aim high to be a popular doctor and to take care of your patients. But once as a doctor, as a private practitioner, as a gynecologist, I was not satisfied with the regular way we used to take up consultations, and what I felt was that I was basically touching the lives of the affluent. The people who really needed access to healthcare were the ones who were in the villages, in the slums, and the remote areas. As you know that about 90, more than 90% of the population of India is below the poverty line, and they don't have basic primary healthcare needs. And the worst of all affected and the neglected are the women. So that is why I changed my course. I was not satisfied just being a doctor giving healthcare facilities to the affluent. So that is the reason I took a different path. I joined an NGO called Savera Association. Now that NGO really changed my life because once being part of it, I realized that there was such a gap between doctor as well as a patient. The people who really needed healthcare were the ones who were most neglected. So once being part of the Savera Association, I realized that there was no specific outpatient department for women health. So the women were very shy to talk to the doctor in a general OPD. So the first thing I did was I set up the gynecology outpatient department at the hospital at the primary health center we were running. Now, as we built it up and it, people came to know about it, we realized that we began to see at least 100 to 150 women every day during our antenatal checkup programs and the population control programs and the gynecological and the women diseases program. That is what clicked the entire the NGO was very very excited about it, because this is the first time that women in general were reaching out to the doctors of the primary health center. So we went a step ahead. We began to hold health checkup camps as well as women awareness education programs, and we went out into the slum area. Now, that was where we really provided the access right to the doorstep of every woman who really needed it. Me and my team of doctors, we began to give education talks in small groups, and women flocked to attend these education programs, and they realized about basic women hygiene, about how to prevent and protect themselves from sexually transmitted infections, treatment of vaginal infections, and most importantly, contraception. Along with that, I also started something called the grooming sessions and the salon and the stitching classes. So our primary health center, began to boom with a lot of activity, and women came from the slums and they participated. So we had three missions together. A, we helped the women to become economically independent. Second, we took care of their health, and also the little babies, the children who came along with their mothers, they too were taken care by the team of doctors in terms of regular vaccination. So in this way, my effort in this NGO really changed my life, as well as changed my focus of me being a doctor, me being a clinician, and most importantly, me being a woman.
Well said, ma'am. And with this, we move ahead. After hearing your answer, I believe that it wouldn't have been easy for you to come this far. So, what all were the challenging predicaments that you had to go through all through this journey?
Right. Absolutely, you're correct. Nothing comes without roadblocks, without ups and downs. You had a lot of challenges. First of all, from my own family, because I had a very nice setup, a beautiful clinic in a very posh area of South Delhi, and this was the first thing I was told by my family. What are you doing out, running around in the heat, running around in the slums? You will get infected. And I did fall prey to a couple of infections. We very frankly, when we had swine flu epidemic in Delhi, I got swine flu. I was seeing patients in the OPD, and we had chikungunya cases. I got that infection as well. So yes, I did have a lot of challenges. My health also suffered because it was the slums where had poor hygiene. There were no washrooms there, as well as it was very very hot and humid environment. So I did fall prey to the environment and did fall sick a couple of times. Also, that there was a lot of resistance from the men folk, resistance from the community in general. They did not want the doctors to penetrate into the slums to sort of encourage their women, because if the women would become economically independent, the community elders thought that the women will now be beyond their control. They'll not the husbands felt that the women will be out of their control, but it was not so. So that resistance from the elders in the community, that resistance from the husbands, was something which we all as a team faced, because it was very difficult to encourage the women to come out of their houses and participate in these programs, which led to their economic development and their development also as a person. We had talks with the village elders, the slum they were slum leaders, they were leaders of a particular community religion. So there was a lot of clashes, and we together as a team really had to struggle to encourage the entire community to help in the women upliftment. So we did had a sweet taste of success, because our relentless counseling helped eventually, and the women really took advantage of our efforts.
And I'm sure that these challenges have made you even more stronger for all your future ventures. All right,
Definitely.
ma'am. So moving ahead, since your professional role and social contributions are very much similar, because being a professional also you are into social service as well. So I'd like you to tell something more about your social contributions.
Yes, so my social contributions have been very fulfilling, Vatika. I am the India coordinator for Postpartum Support International. Now, this is it's a committee of which takes care of perinatal anxiety and perinatal and postpartum depression and anxiety. Our head office is in US, and I'm the first point of contact for any woman who undergoes anxiety and depression and mental disorders during their pregnancy and right after childbirth, because you know that pregnancy and childbirth is a very traumatic experience, both physically as well as mentally, for a woman, because there are a lot of changes in the hormones. Because of that, about 6 to 7 women out of every, I would say, 12 women, 50% of the women do have some kind of mental disturbances, some anxieties during and after delivery. So usually there are baby blues and they get settled down in a few weeks' time. But sometimes these issues become really, really very, very horrifying. So this is where my role comes in. I This is a pro bono initiative from myself as an individual. I am a certified postpartum depression counselor from the University of Virginia, and I reach out to women who try to connect me through email, through phone, and I try to counsel them. And I also try to collect them and establish women support groups, where women can help each other, listen to each other, and solve their problems which they're facing. So this is something which is very, very satisfying experience. And since it is pro bono, I don't charge anything for it. It makes it even more precious for me and more satisfying. Besides that, I also after my experience with Savera Association and the work we did there, I went ahead with my journey, and I realized that this is what I really want to do. I want to reach out to the masses. I want to reach out to the women, maybe in a small town in Uttar Pradesh, maybe in a small town in Rajasthan, where all she has is a Jhola Chap doctor in the community who gives her some multicolor tablets whenever she has any issues, and that also she cannot go for a checkup. She can only get this help through her husband. So this is the grim truth of the life of the a common man outside the metro cities. In the metro cities we have all the facilities and we take them for granted, but for a woman who is pregnant in a small village in Rajasthan, even getting a second dose of tetanus and information related to her pregnancy is something which is impossible for her to get. So that is the reason I shifted my focus to digital health. I joined a very, very beautiful platform called MyUpchar. MyUpchar is a telemedicine platform which is in multiple languages, and the main language which we speak through our videos and through our live sessions is Hindi. So, since we speak in the common language, I began to reach to more and more women. Lots of videos were created by our team around women health, around pregnancy, around irregular periods, PCOD, postpartum issues, and childbirth and vaginal infections. So these most of these videos are have viewership of nearly 10 million, and we have about 3.5 million subscribers of this YouTube channel, and so it's very, very popular. Another way I gave back to the society was through my Facebook live sessions. Every week I go live on Facebook, and you would just imagine the number of questions and the number of inquiries I get from women all over India. And they're so frank with me and they relate to me, and I try to solve their small, small queries. So that also has been a very achieving, a very satisfying, I would say, contribution to give back to the society.
Right, ma'am. So, considering the pandemic as of now, physical health checkups are not possible. So, with the advent of technology and digital health setups, what are your views on digital health and telehealth platforms?
Yeah, so I think pandemic has taught all of us a lesson. Pandemic has made us realize that telehealth and digital health is here to stay. Initially, when the pandemic struck in the year 2020, our team, we started a small team of teleconsultation. We hired doctors and we built a team, and we used to do telephone consultations. We solved queries regarding COVID. We solved queries regarding diabetes, hypertension, because what happened that time when the pandemic struck, the OPDs were closed down, the hospitals were made COVID hospitals. So there was a broad category of population across India which lost contact with their doctors because the OPD shut, the hospitals shut. So people who were in chronic people who had chronic diseases like diabetes, hypertension, cancer patient, pregnant women, children, they were no longer able to access to healthcare. So their teleconsultation became a soul savior. Why? Because the Government of India, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, within a matter of a few days, made telemedicine legal. Initially, there was a lot of hesitance on the part of doctors whether to connect to patients over a digital platform. But once the pandemic came, everybody realized that the need of hour is to make telemedicine legal. So once it was made legal, we connected to patients and helped out to people all over the metros, the villages and towns who wanted to know more about COVID and COVID related anxieties. So I would say digital health is really a boon for these times. And even I suggest that post pandemic too, we should all rely to talk to our doctors through telemedicine. Now, what are the advantages? Number one, you don't have to travel long distances to visit a doctor at the hospital because data says that 70 to 80% of the consultations can be handled online without the patient visiting a doctor's clinic. So if the patient saves a lot of time, the patient saves effort. We also reduce the carbon print on Earth because traveling would need consumption of petrol, and so the carbon print increases on the environment. So that it's helpful also. Also, we protect our family, they protect the doctor and the doctor's family from infections. So I feel that telehealth should continue, pandemic or no pandemic.
Right, ma'am, and I totally agree with you. Okay, with this, we move ahead. We all have certain plans for our future. So, what are your future plans with respect to your profession and your social service?
I would love to do whatever I'm doing. And right now, I'm focusing on being, taking care of the operations at Vivio Health. And as you said about Vivio Health, we have a huge task because we have to provide access to healthcare to 1 billion people by 2025. Now, this access to healthcare is not only confined to India because Vivio is a global company. So, we are reaching out to lots of parts of Africa too. We are having talks with the Nigerian government, the Nigerian health facilities, Kenya, as well as many countries in Latin America and Brazil, of course, where we are trying to provide telehealth and helping patients all over globally. So that is what I'm going to focus for the next 2 to 3 years because since we have a lot of responsibility and we've taken up this massive goal to provide access to 1 billion people, I think I have a lot on my plate at the moment.
So, first of all, congratulations on winning the Indian Achievers Award. I really want to know that what was the feeling when you came to know that you have won the award, and who all were the constant supporters in this journey of yours?
So one thing, if receiving an award is an awesome experience, but it also clarified one thing. It gave me the satisfaction that at the end of the day what I'm doing is correct. As long as you are doing your work, and appreciation or no appreciation, that doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, if you have faced so many challenges along the way, but you still relentlessly continue because that is what something you believe in, and at the end of the day someone appreciates you for that, then that is a very very unique feeling which I got when I received, or when I came to know that I had received this prestigious award. And the most important people who supported me was definitely my husband, My husband has been a very, very strong pillar of support. He's not into a medical profession, so he's the one who has really stood by me. Not being in the medical profession, he has always understood what are my needs and what will satisfy me. So professionally, he's always been there with me, and he's also very excited that I have received this award, and fully appreciates the efforts of Indian Achievers Award in this effort.
Right, ma'am. So before concluding this lovely session, you know that IF is followed not only by mainstream organizations, but also those young minds who aspire to be like our achievers someday. So, what is that one message you'd like to give to the new generation who'd like to do something for themselves and for the society as well?
That's a beautiful question, Vatika, and it is definitely something I really want to say, because this is what I have observed along my journey. One thing I really want to say, that no work is small, no work is something which is not in your profile, especially if you are young and you are in the start of your career. In this time, I have seen personally many youngsters who do not take up certain tasks, thinking that this is not part of my profile, this is something which I'm not excited to do enough. I would just advise you one thing, to all the youngsters who really want to go ahead in their career, is any task which is given to you, please take it up as a challenge and do full justice to it. Complete the task with full dedication, because if you do each and every task given to you which comes your way and you take it up as a challenge, not only it helps you in your personal development, not only it helps you in your professional development, it helps to make you to the person you are. So at the end of your long journey, when you look back, you will realize that since you had done all those little tasks along the way, maybe they were not part of your profile, maybe they were maybe they were too low or too small a task, below your level, below your standard. But if you did full justice to them, you really have achieved, and you really will do marvelously in your career later on. So take each task as a stepping stone for success.
And that, I must say, ma'am, is a great piece of advice. Thank you so much for joining with us today. It was pleasure talking to you, and we hope that you continue to inspire people of all ages forever. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Atika. Thank you for having me.